I didn't believe in ghosts until I was 9. I thought it was just stuff adults made up to scare us. I grew up in South Florida, and although most of the buildings and houses there are pretty new, there are a few older places like St. Augustine, which is actually one of the earliest US cities. My uncle had a place there that supposedly was built in the late 17th century. It almost became a historical landmark before my uncle bought it. My brother and I stayed there one summer, and it was probably one of the creepiest times of my life. Every night, my brother and I would hear moaning coming from outside the door. He and I stayed in the same room. And sometimes we'd wake up in the morning and there would be handprints on the door inside the room, even though we would lock it. One night about 3 weeks into the summer, things changed for the worst. My brother passed out early from fishing all day, but I somehow worked up the nerve to see if I could actually see the ghost. When I heard the moaning, I tried to sneak the door open so I could catch the ghost, but when I opened it up, nothing was there. I decided it might be better if I pretended to be asleep, so I got into bed and hid under the covers. Sure enough, about 15 minutes later I saw the sliding glass door ease open and a figure came in. I couldn't tell if it was floating or not, but it kinda made its way over to the bed. I started freaking out, but I knew I had to keep pretending I was asleep to make sure I didn't scare the ghost away before I could get a closer look. As I laid there, the ghost bent over and slowly pulled the sheets down. I cracked my eyes open and couldn't believe what I was seeing. The ghost looked just like my uncle. It must have been an ancient dead relative of his. As I kept my charade up, the ghost reached into my shorts and started touching my thighs, working its dead hands up my legs until finally his cold, clammy hands wrapped around my tiny unit and tugged on it until I got an erection. I was so terrified of the ghost that I just sat there and took it without making a move. This probably happened about 60 to 70 times during the summer. Each time I was too terrified to move, although a couple nights I accidentally moaned out of fear. When I was 18 or 19, me and my friend were invited to a chill small after-work party. The party was in this atypical 2-story apartment complex, on the 2nd floor. We got there a little early, maybe 10:30 or so, and out of nowhere it starts pouring rain. I drove my motorcycle, so we are getting soaked. My friend suggests we enter our friend's apartment from the balcony. We both know it is never locked. We know the person pretty good, so I know they won't mind. We walk around back and decide to give it a try. My friend is taller, so he boosts me up high enough that I can grab the support rails of the deck. I pull myself up and over the railing. I walk over and open the sliding glass door. I walk into the dark apartment. I give myself a moment to let my eyes adjust to the dark. I start walking through the living room. Some of the furniture has been moved. I get to the door and unlock it, open it up. Just then my friend is walking by the stairs. I call down to him. "Hey man." He looks up at me with kinda a startled expression, quickly looks at the side wall, looks back at me, looks back at the wall. Yells, "Dude, wrong apartment." I closed the door, flew down the stairs, ran to my bike and got the hell out of there. Whenever I think back on this moment I consider myself lucky I was not killed for our stupidity.